Alright, welcome back. So today I kind of want to go over a little bit of a lesser known optic for the 8K platform. And I'm sure the Mosin guys in the crowd are going to recognize this one right off the bat. But this is the PU-1 scope. So what this is at its heart is simply a PU scope, just like what was used during World War II on the 9130 series. And it's put into its own special mount specifically designed for the RPK series, both the 47 and the 74. So the way that this was born, you kind of have to take a little bit of a trip back in time. The 9130 PU scope was developed as a cheaper way to basically have a scope that was okay enough to match the quality of the PEM, which itself is a copy of a Zeiss design. But moving forward from there, during the war, they made about a gazillion of these things. And post-war, they were used for a lot of different things. They got repurposed for heavy machine guns, auto cannons, surveying scopes, you name it. So during the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, they were looking for a way to get a little bit better of an accurate suppressing fire out of the RPK series, and that's where this came in. Again, this is at its heart the Soviet doctrine of just being cheap. Like, we have a billion of these things. Like, let's figure out a way to use them, right? So, again, standard PU scope. The only difference is that it's got this turned aluminum bushing at the rear, and that's just to fit a rubber eye cup. And then this cast aluminum mount with the universal AK mounting rail screwed into it. And there's a few adjustments you can actually do on the mount itself. If your reticle is crooked, there's two set screws. There's one here and there's one here that you can loosen up and rotate the scope. And there's also these two screws down here at the mounting bracket that kind of squish the scope into place. But other than that, it's plug and play. Again, this is a standard 9130 PU scope, the non-click adjustable scope. That, in my opinion, is kind of a bad design just because it's super easy during storage or moving around to accidentally bump one of these and then have them move. But again, that's just me. The scope itself is really bare bones. It's somewhat low power magnification, simple German style post reticle. But for what it is, it's actually a pretty interesting optic, and I mean, it'll get the job done. I'm out here at 200 yards today. Obviously, it's not the best thing in the world, but it works okay. It's a really interesting look at repurposing, basically at that point in time, 50-year-old technology to be used during a modern conflict. So. You can find these anywhere between about $200 to $400 depending on the condition. Now, sometimes when you do find these, they'll have the original OTK paperwork with them. And on the paperwork, depending on what the scope is calibrated for, there's two different tables that you can find on the paperwork. One will have the drop adjustments, because you got to remember these are marked for 762 by 54R. But on one of the tables, you'll have the corresponding drop measurements for 762 by 39, and on another table, you have the corresponding drop measurements for 545 by 39. So, again, it's cool. Is it very practical? Not really. Are there a bunch of scopes out there that can do a lot better than it? Of course. But it's a neat way to see how old, obsolete technology is repurposed during a conflict. I personally just like it more or less for that. But thanks for watching, and happy building.